Good morning. Hang on. I'm trying to get everybody in.
That's fine. Just so you know, I'm here too. Thank you.
I'm not Dave. Dave is having a computer problem. He's trying to resolve it. In the meantime, I told him I'd get on and get you signed in and get everybody in. So, welcome. And let's see who we've got here. We've got Leah, we've got Mallory, Ann, good morning. Jim Tallman, Isaac, Sally Craig, no photo, but you're in, and I see you're unmuted so we can hear you. There you go. And Don Nolt, thank you for joining.
Yeah, I've got this crazy thing behind me.
Well, that's all right. And the horse you rode in on.
Yeah, my galloping steed.
Okay, so let's see. Remember, there's somebody else trying to get in. Let me get everybody in, and then we'll talk. I'll start the meeting before Dave gets on. There we go. Dale, welcome. Dave is having some computer issues.
Okay, I got hooked up. I don't know what was wrong before, but thank you.
So everybody's in. I don't have the list we had, but you're here. I'm Hewie Poplock, in case you don't know. Let me go ahead and change my name here. I don't know if you know how to do that or no. There's somebody else. Two more people coming in. Good. He's going to have a nice group here. So rename. Okay. For those who joined late, I'm Hewie Poplock. Dave's having some computer issues. And you're getting in again, okay? And I run a Windows special interest group for the Central Florida Computer Society once a month. I've been doing it for 15 some odd years. Back, I think I started it when it was a DOS SIG. We call them SIGs in Central Florida, and it's their forums here in Sarasota. And I've been doing them with Zoom for about 5.5 years when I moved to Bradenton from the Orlando area. So I am somewhat qualified to answer some questions, and there were some questions from, let's see, from Leah, and I do have those questions, and I know Dave sent them on to me and to Bill Crow to see if we had some input as well. So I'll get to those to see in just a few minutes. Is there anyone there else who has a pressing question? I'm not sure. Dave's going to try to join using his iPad, I think, or his phone or something to be able to get on and run the meeting. But in the meantime, I will. And I got to bring up your letter, Leah, so I can find it and what the answers were that I wrote. Let's see. I called Dave right at 11 when I saw he wasn't on. I know he had some issues earlier this week, so I figured he was having a problem, and he was, and I told him I would sign on and get the meeting started for you. So let me go to my Outlook. And find my response. Come on. Whoops, I know what I did wrong. There we go. I have two monitors so I can look at things in different places. There we go. Okay. One of the questions Leah asked was, and I'm going to take her third question. She says, let's see, somebody else trying to get in. Where'd that go? Hang on here a second. Yeah, we got 2 more coming in. Okay, for those joining late, I'm Hewie Poplock. I'm not Dave Gerber, although I look like he used to before he lost all his weight. For those of you who have known him for any amount of time. Anyway, Leah asked a few questions. I'm going to take her third question as I received it, and is that somebody trying to come in? No, somebody just came in. Oh, there's Dave. Hello, Dave. Can we hear you? You're muted. You're still muted. If you're on an iPad, it may be at the top instead at the bottom. Let me try to unmute you.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, well, I can show things if you talk, but I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Well, all right. In the meantime, I'm not seeing anybody else, so I don't know what.
Swipe if you're on your phone, try swiping across. You might.
There we go. Well, hello, everybody. I've embarrassed myself this morning. Today is Murphy's Law Day. I made the ultimate mistake. I downloaded a program from what I believe to be a trustworthy site, a site that I've gone to many times in the past. And the program that I downloaded was probably trustworthy, but it did something to my system and I can't get online. Even though my network connection is fine, everything is showing up in Windows fine, none of my browsers will connect with any website. So here I am on my cell phone, which is pretty bad for a person who always preaches. I shouldn't have done this, especially right before this session, but of course, who can anticipate the problem? Now, the program that I was installing and that I had installed was a program that supposedly would search your computer for any vestiges of any antivirus program that had previously been installed. Now, I think we talked about this in the past, where you never just trust Windows, programs and features to uninstall an antivirus program, that each antivirus company has its own specific uninstaller that your best option to use, which I've always done in the past. But yet when I ran this program, it did find vestiges of a couple of different antivirus programs that I had used in the past. So I figured, okay, let me try. And I tried the first one, which happened to be, it wasn't an antivirus program because I would never put McAfee on my system, but it must have been a toolbar that I had on maybe a couple of years ago. And it found some vestiges of that toolbar. So I said, okay, take it off. But I created a restore point. I went to System Restore and made a restore point before I did any of this, thinking I'll be okay in worst case scenario. Well, it worked. It did what it was, I guess, supposed to do, but it did something else to my network settings. And even when I ran System Restore, it didn't help. So evidently it made some changes to some settings that are not within System Restore. So now, just on a lark, and I tried pinging some different websites and it didn't help. Couldn't reach out, couldn't get to any website. So right now I'm in the process of just trying to go back further in System Restore just to see what happens. I don't think it's going to yield much success, but I figured it doesn't cost me any money to try that. So with that being said, tell me about your problems. because I've had it with mine. Um, I know, oh, somebody had sent me some questions.
That was Leah.
That was Leah. Are you there, Leah?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why don't you ask your questions and hopefully we'll be able to get you some answers.
I've got to find them. I rewrote them. First one dealt with Excel. How do you add a column or a row of data that is non-numerical? I know it can be done, but I did it maybe 35 years ago and
Yeah.
do not remember.
Well, I'm no Excel expert. That's my wife's function. But it sounds like it's something that's pretty easy to do. And again, I'm doing this blindly. If you have Excel open, well, Hewie,
Nope.
can you share your desktop, Hewie?
Yep.
Yeah, let Hewie share his desktop and open up Excel.
Let me see if I can find one that I don't have information. It doesn't matter.
Well, it could be a blank one, you know.
Okay, well, I can do it with the blank. We got the blank one. You want to describe or you want me to go ahead and do it, Dave?
Oh, you can do it, you know.
Okay, well, let's say you want to put a whole bunch of non-numerical data in there. What I do is I go up to Format and then Format Cells. And you can change it whatever here. So you can say text. And now everything that goes in there, even if it's a number, it will be text. That's it. That's what I would do.
Okay, what I have is a column of pretty much the same text, like a letter or two, and I need to tally that column.
Tally it. What are you tallying? Just how many of them are there?
Yes.
Well, I cheat. I don't know. There's probably a better way to do it. But what I do is I insert a separate column, and for everyone that I want, I'll put like an, pardon me. Since you're going to add, I'd put a number there and just say, okay, and a one there, and then take
I
that.
didn't make a separate column, but I did that. Yeah.
Okay, and then at the bottom of it, just come up and do an addition,
Yeah.
do the sum, and there's 19 of them.
Yeah.
That's how I would
That's
do it,
what I
quick and
did.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did, more or less. I had to change the numbers, but I know that they're, and I went online and went to Google to see, and they kept explaining some things that really weren't what I was looking for, or I didn't understand at all what they were saying. I know I have done it in the past because I remember having a bunch of names, like people's names, and needed to tally the column of name because it wasn't next to the numbers or whatever, and so on.
So if
Okay.
you got, well, maybe some other people have some input. Let me stop sharing so I can see people. Anybody else have any ways of doing it? Use Excel? Don't all speak at once.
Well, everybody seems muted that I'm looking at.
Yeah, but I don't see anybody struggling trying to give an answer. So I'm guessing that most of you aren't Excel users. There's probably a much easier way to do that. I'm not an expert at Excel at all. I use it for a lot of things, but I don't consider myself an expert. And that's how I would have done it. So that's how you did it.
Thank you.
At least
That is,
it
well,
works.
more or less
It works. Yeah.
It works. I just didn't, I did not make the separate column and add just the numbers. I converted the letters to numbers, and then I had to convert them back. It would have been easier if I'd have done a separate columm, but by
Yeah.
then I'd already.
Yeah, in
done that.
fact, a lot of the spreadsheets I do where I keep lists of things and I have to check off things. I'll do just that. I'll do an X and I'll do another one. For instance, when I do a class, when I registered people, I made a column and I put X's in it. If I sent them the link, I put a Y in that column, and
Yeah.
and if they attended, I put a Z in that column, and that way I could keep track of who signed up and so on. It was just like a checklist.
Right.
There's ways to do checklists in Excel as well, but I just, as I say, I don't use it enough to have to learn something new. I just do it the easy way and quick way that I can.
Thank you.
All right, the next question that you had, Leah, was on Windows 10. You said you had the version update of 2004. The last several times you open Windows, it opens to the programs like Word and Excel that you were last using when you closed down. Then you have to
Right.
close it to get what you want to use. Is this part of the new 2004 update or something else? My guess is it's something else.
Because it's just started.
I've had this happen when my system either rebooted or I shut down incorrectly, or I forced my computer to shut down. Sometimes then the programs that were open or the web pages that were open will automatically be there when I boot it up again.
However, it's not usually what I was working on. It's just the program. If I was working on Excel, it would have been a blank Excel sheet. If I was working in Word, it was a blank Word sheet.
But you were working on that before. You were working on that last before you shut down.
Right, and I closed it down, and then I either turned off my computer, and then what? Yeah, but it wasn't open as far as I knew. I closed it down.
Okay, here's what I found when I did some searching. How to disable apps reopening in Windows 10 version 2004.
That's exactly what's happening.
Okay, to stop auto reopen of apps after restart on Windows 10 version 2004, and that's version 204, not the year. Follow these steps. Open settings, click on accounts, and then click on sign in options and turn off the restart apps toggle switch. Automatically save my restartable apps when I sign out and start them after I sign in. Make sure that's turned off. It might have turned it. Sometimes when Microsoft updates, they will change some defaults that may have been changed.
Okay.
And
the only other different thing go ahead.
And then if you have Windows version 1909, you open settings, click on accounts, click on sign in options, and under privacy, turn off. Use my sign in info to automatically finish setting up my device. That has to do with setup. That's probably not what your issue was. But that still may be there. Also, something I mentioned when I talked to, or when I emailed possible answers back to Dave this morning. Let's see, let me stop sharing. I suggested that possibly when you shut down, it says, do you want to close something that's open? And you just go by it, it automatically says it's shutting it down, but it's probably putting it to sleep. And so when you start up, it opens up, and then other times it may not. It sounded like it doesn't happen every time.
It's beginning to happen every time.
Okay.
For a while, it wasn't at all. I never had any problem. It's just all started. I have recently begun, instead of shutting it down completely, knowing that I'm coming back on within an hour or so, I put it on sleep. And it just dawned on me that maybe that was part of the problem. But I will go back and check this other through settings to
Okay,
accounts.
I'm going to
Planning options.
I'm going to go into chat and I'm going to give you a link. Whoops. Did I do that right? Let's see. Yeah, there it is. It's a big link. You can copy it and then paste it into something, or if you want to save the chat, when you open up the chat, there's 3 little dots down at the bottom. And if you click that, you'll see it says save chat. And you can do this anytime during any meeting if they've given you the access to do that. And if you save the chat, it will create it. Usually by default, it'll go into it'll create a folder in your documents folder called Zoom. And then it'll have the chat for that particular day under the date.
Okay. All right, I've got Zoom group chat. What I have is file and type message. So where should I go with it with that?
No, it'll do it automatically. When you type in, when you click the 3 little dots, it'll save it.
I don't
do it automatically. Down at the
don't
bottom of
see
the chat.
The bottom of the chat. All I see are the word to everyone.
And just look to the
File.
right, and it'll say file, and then there's 3 little dots to the right
There,
of
I
it.
see him. I see him. I see him.
Yeah,
Click that.
they just jumped in. They weren't there before.
Okay, thank you. Save chat. Okay, chat saved.
And now you'll have
No
that.
idea where, but that's all right.
Yeah, but it should be in your documents folder under a folder called Zoom, and then there'll be a subfolder with today's date.
Okay, under documents where I never could put anything. Okay, under Zoom. Thank you very much.
Okay, you had a third question. Dave, go ahead. Dave, are you there? Yeah, now he's.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're having.
Service, which is always great. When I'm at, that seems to be a dead spot. So it keeps dropping out.
Yeah, we're losing your voice sometimes too. You're freezing. All right, I'll field it for you. You mentioned about, let's see if I can find the exact question. I had to do about password apps where especially, now let's see what your question was. Something to do with
Password apps.
Yeah, password apps. Are you using a password app?
No, I am not. That's what I'm asking. Is it advisable to or not for either the computer or the phone? I have a daughter who puts all of hers in a phone. I have mine in a book. Book.
And I would say probably either most of the people here have a book or they have little pieces of paper they got stuck in a drawer and I got to go find the right piece of paper. I help a lot of my neighbors as well. Of course, I've been helping people in user groups for years and years, and they all do it the same way. Usually it's in a book, but inside the book are little pieces of paper they wrote things on. They've changed them a couple of times, and so the old ones are there, the new ones are there, and all that. Okay, I use 2 password managers.
Okay.
Now people say, why would you do that? Well, because I'm Hewie. But the biggest reason is I started using one when I had what were they called? What they call them? I've got a senior moment here. I had a Palm Pilot. So
yeah.
those of you who've been around computers a long time, that was a long time ago. And they had a password manager, and that's where I started using one called eWallet. And then they came out with a PC version, and they didn't talk to each other, but then they found a way to sync them up. And I'm still using eWallet. I have about 1,300 cards that have information on them in that. I not only keep my passwords, I keep the keys to all my software. When I purchase the software, I keep information about my driver's license, my car insurance numbers. I keep everything in there because it's all encrypted. It's one great big long password to get into it, and you don't leave it open. But so I have it on my iPhone, I have it on my iPad, I have it on my Android phone, I have it on my Chromebook, I have it on my PC, and I have it on my desktop and a laptop and my Surface 3. So I have copies of it everywhere. They all point to one file in Dropbox. You can place it anywhere you want. I decided on Dropbox. You could have it on your OneDrive, your Microsoft OneDrive, but when it opens up, it says, okay, well, let me go check to see if there's any updates or I need to sync with anything. And if it finds it, in other words, if I'm connected, it will go out and update the local one. If not, it'll just use the local one until the next time it can sync. But I have it, each of them, as you connect to it, will update in either direction. So it always has an updated version on the latest, wherever you've done it, and it'll connect and sync. So I always have the latest passwords everywhere. I decided I wanted to try LastPass. No one uses eWallet. None of the articles that talk about password managers ever mention it. I've been using it, as I said, since Palm Pilot days, so sometime in the mid-90s. I've got everything in it, and it exports some information, but not all of it. So I was able to export enough information that I went ahead and I opened up an account with LastPass, because a lot of people use LastPass, and I wanted to know how it worked. And so I then imported everything into LastPass. So I'm using both of them. So when I go to update something, I have to update it in both. But anyway, LastPass has, there is a PC app, but you can also just, if you're using Chrome, and I can't remember what else, I think Firefox, they have an add-in for the browser that works as well. And then I checked my iPad, and there's an app for the iOS versions, so I'm sure there is one for the iPhone as well. And I know there's one for Android. So again, but they talk to, it's stored in LastPass's cloud and syncs, and they all sync to that. So you can use it on multiple, the bottom line is you can use it on multiple devices, and then you always have your passwords with you, whatever device you're using.
Hewie, this is Sally. I have a question. Are they
Sure.
both? You've never used either one. Where do you go get them? Just look for an app?
Yeah, LastPass is, I think it's lastpass.com, but if you do a search for LastPass, it's probably one of the most widely used ones out there and very highly rated.
Spell it.
LASTPASS.
Thank you.
And the other one that I use is eWallet.
Yeah, I'm
And-
also using two different password managers. RoboForm, which is I've been with since they were on a floppy disk. Been with them forever. And
Then we lost you. Okay. RoboForm was one. I know you've actually done some meetings explaining RoboForm. Probably ought to do another one soon. And
the
then
other one,
go ahead.
the other one that I'm using is Sticky Passwords, which I find a little bit too obstructive. It's too aggressive. So I'm
Can I
not
ask a
sure I'm going to
question?
stick with it.
A question in relationship to these.
I'm sorry?
Do you create the password and then put it in, or do they create the password and it's there for you?
The answer to that is yes.
In other words, both ways.
Yeah, you can do it either way.
Okay.
And the one thing I like about eWallet, it says, okay, do you want me to, how long do you want it to be? How long do you want it to be? Do you want it to be lower and uppercase? Do you want punctuation? Do you want something else? And then also, do you want it pronounceable? So it'll do little groups of pronounceable information, and it'll put it in for you, and then you can save it and then use it and see it. I'm not sure. I do know LastPass will create one for you, or you can use your own. And I have not let them create one for me, so I have not experienced it. What about RoboForm, Dave?
Yeah, RoboForm will generate a password, and you could set the parameters of what the password, how long and what kind of characters you want to use, and it will generate it. Now, what my strategy is, there are certain websites where I want to be able to access them without having to go through a password manager. I just want it to be simple. Not my banks, of course, but let's say Home Depot. I have an account, a login on Home Depot. I don't, not worried about them. Not personal information. Not putting any credit information on that site. So I kind of tend to stick with some passwords that I will easily remember, as opposed to having RoboForm generate some long thing that I'd never remember. But I'll do it when I'm only going to access them securely on my home computer. It's not the best strategy. It's just what I've been doing. The best strategy of your password manager sync on all your devices. I do have it on my syncing on my cell phone, so I could have it generate a strong password for every site. But there are just some sites I just don't concern myself with a whole lot. I'm not putting a password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but something that I'm that I'm going to remember. Again.
Looks like we lost him. Oh, he's back. We're not hearing. You're not hearing you. You're muted again. Let me see if I can unmute you. Oh, where are you in my list?
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, this cell phone connection is not that great.
A couple of tricks that I
better Verizon. So this is going to be difficult. By the way, I did my second system restore and some other maintenance, and I'm still not able to connect on my PC. So I have a feeling I have a long tech session with discount computers coming up.
Okay. It's going back to passwords. Sometimes I like to have some
connect to my system remotely, but that's not going to happen right now.
He's not hearing me.
It's Murphy Day.
Yeah, you've heard of Murphy's Law, Dave, right? Have you heard Have you heard of Cole's Law?
Say it again, Yuri.
Have you heard of Cole's Law?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's made with sliced cabbage. Anyway.
Okay.
What I do, sometimes I want to make up a password of something I want to try to remember, or it's a little bit easier, even though I do put it in my password manager. Sometimes I use street names of places I used to live in. Not in the current city, not in Sarasota, for instance, but maybe in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which I've never lived in. But and then I'll take two streets, and they don't have to even be near each other, and I'll put an ampersand, a plus sign, some other punctuation in the middle of them. And I generally try to take streets that aren't normal words. In other words, not Main Street, but maybe I'm looking for somebody's Salamone Street. Yeah, just a street that it's not a common name that was probably named after a war hero or one of the founders of the community or that you were in or something, and they had a strange spelling for it. And I can think of some examples, but I've used them, so I don't want to give them away. But I'll combine them. So they wouldn't normally be combined, and so it makes it a little bit easier for me to remember. I'm probably still going to have to tomorrow look them up, because I don't remember things from one day to the other anyway. But that's old age. That's got nothing to do with passwords. But so those are some tricks or places that you used to go to. Maybe a store that you used to buy candy in when you were a kid might be a good password, because no one would ever know that. The business is probably long gone. And just make it so there's enough information there that you remember that somebody couldn't just figure out, and that you don't mention in Facebook.
Sally, when I was at work, they suggested use cars that you used to drive long ago.
Yep.
So I use a car name, a year, and a color, and jumble them all around.
Yeah. And old license plate numbers, if you remember them.
No, I just do the.
Sometimes I'll look at a license plate of a car in front of me and say, oh, that'll make a good password. I don't write it down so I can't remember it, but so there's a lot of ways you can make up passwords that aren't so convoluted that you'll never remember them, and you can use them.
I had to do one Sunday morning for my credit union. It said the year was up and I had to make a new one, so I did. And it said it was okay, but it won't let me in using it, so I can't go in with the other one. I have to call them today and check it out.
I have 2 websites right now that did that to me in the last couple of days.
I wonder
Question,
if the trend is a trend they're doing.
question.
Somebody had a question?
I do, Huey, it's Ann. I have RoboForm and I have it on my laptop, but it's not on my iPad or my iPhone. How do I get it there?
Well, your iPad and iPhone, you have to get everything from the App Store, or what do they call it? From what do they call it in the iPhone world? It's not called the App Store. Yeah, the Apple Store. You go there and you do a search for the one you're using, and if it's RoboForm, you do a search there, and you have to download it from them.
Thank you. I have to download it on both the iPad and the iPhone, right?
Yeah, but once you sign into your account, it'll know who you are, and it'll connect and give you the information you need.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nobody's having any problems or issues, huh? That's great.
Well, I have a question, but it's about the Adobe Readers.
Okay, who's, I'm not,
Sally.
okay, Sally, where are you? Oh, I'm looking for you on my screen and I'm not,
I'm one of the first ones signed in.
well, everybody's, oh, okay, we don't see you. That's why I don't, okay. All right,
Okay.
go ahead,
See
Sally.
your name.
So the other day, now, don't go there, but I'm still working on one laptop with Vista. And I understand it's old, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it told me to go in and update my Adobe Reader, but it made me want to pay for something.
No, don't do that.
Exactly. And I couldn't understand how I got into what I got into and why it wouldn't let me move forward. So how do let's say I have to update it and I have a Windows 10 desktop, but I'm on the laptop now. So how would I do that without going through their gymnastics?
Generally, if you go into Adobe Reader, go to Help, and let me bring up Adobe Reader on my computer as we're talking, so I can. Let's see, Adobe Reader DC is the latest version, and it's open. If I go to Help, check for updates is the bottom one on my screen under Help, and click it and it will look and see if there's an update and let you know. That's the best way, because if you get a pop-up saying you got to update something, sometimes it could be just generated by a website and they're taking you somewhere that you don't want to go.
Well, that's why
Sometimes it's an ad and they're not trying to update, they're trying to upgrade you to a paid version.
right. So just go into the browser and go into.
No, go into the program itself. You have Adobe Reader on your computer.
Yeah, but
Open it, and in your menu at the top, there's a Help. One of the choices is Help, And when you click it, there's a whole bunch of drop downs, and one of them will be check for updates.
Yeah, but then it still sends me to trying to sell me something.
That's Adobe.
But I don't want
Adobe doesn't like giving anything away free, but all you want is the free reader, and see if it updates.
Okay,
And if not, just don't worry about it.
okay, all right. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's an Ann. And I tried to put Edge on as my new browser from Chrome about 2 weeks ago. And fortunately, I was down at the refurb office because it went on beautifully. And I picked up my laptop and took it to refurb. We were working down there. And when I went to get to a class, it just had totally eaten up my machine, which thank goodness for Mike and Bill were able to fix. But that was Edge, and that was going to something that was on the computer at saying, do I want to go to Edge? Do I want it to be my browser? And I said, yes, I did. Having talked to Dave, he said that was a good program. So I was going to go to Edge, and I'm back to Chrome because that was disaster. Any suggestions?
I'm not sure why it would do that. Edge probably updated on your computer.
Now, I read recently that Edge has created more of a Chrome platform.
Yes, it's gone to a Chromium. It's Chromium based, and so usually when you update to the newest version of Edge, it will say, do you want to bring everything in from Chrome? And it'll bring in your history. It'll bring in everything that you've done on Chrome will be a part of Edge at that point. So when you start up Edge, all of your favorites will be what you had in Chrome and so on. I have not heard of anybody having an issue with it. I know I didn't have an issue when I updated. So I'm not sure what got screwed up when you did that, Ann. Was it Chrome wasn't, or I'm sorry, was it Edge that wasn't working right, or your whole computer wasn't working right?
It froze. It absolutely froze. Nothing was working on the computer, and even Mike had to get Bill over to help him. I mean, it was that bad.
But you think it started because of Edge?
I had put Edge on that morning, and this was like at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I had put Edge on at about 8.
That may or may not have caused it, but and what they do, remove Edge, or did they just?
They sure did. They got rid of Edge, and I'm back at Chrome.
Okay, because let me share for a minute. Dave is frozen again, so he keeps. He's listening, I'm sure, but I don't know whether he can talk all the time. But let me go ahead and whoops, wrong thing here. Screen share.
While you're doing that, what's the advantage of Chrome or Edge, either one?
I don't know. Why drive a Ford or a Chevy? I guess it's a personal, but here's Edge. Edge has some things that are a little bit different than Chrome, but it's based on the same program. Let me full screen it. Let me move our pictures off onto the other monitor. And I put them down there, and that's not where I wanted to go with this. I'll have to worry about that later. Anyway, so this is Edge, but it picked up everything that I have in my Chrome on here. So all of my links were there, all of my favorites, it picked everything up, and I think it still does. But there's my LastPass right there. So it works on mine. I am not sure why it's not working on yours. It does a couple of neat things. I've talked about it some of my meetings, but y'all don't go to those. So let's see if I can bring up a website. I don't even know where to go, but well, let's go to that Microsoft article. Okay. One thing I do like about it, this isn't one that's going to do that, right? Of course not. It's a Microsoft product. Let me open up another one here. Let's just go to, much as I hate to, go to CNN, and we'll go something that's not politics. We'll go to business, find an article, McDonald's. Okay, and let's see. I gotta make it, okay, and of course it's not there either. Well, and let me go ahead and stop the share. I don't have anything prepared, so I can't really get to there quickly. And now I'm, and now it's running in the background and I can't, oh, it's an Edge. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to split. I'm sorry, the audio through my cell phone, it keeps breaking up. I can't make out much of anything.
Okay, you've got
my system fixed up, and I appreciate you filling in. And I'm sorry, everybody. I learned a lesson.
Well, hopefully they're getting something from the meeting, so we'll continue on without you, and our thoughts are with you. And if I can help it, give me a holler later. Okay, it looks like we've lost him again. So anyway, there's some things with Edge that you can do that are really nice. One of them is you can have it do a very clean version of some web pages and without all of the ads and the buttons and everything else that I don't use it. I use Chrome as my basic default browser, but the only reason I do is I have a Chromebook which runs on the Chrome browser, and so I don't but I've used Firefox in the past. I do use, as you saw, I have Edge right on my taskbar. I have Firefox there as well. Sometimes I'll go to a website and I'm trying to fill out a form and it doesn't work right in Chrome. I'll use Firefox and it works fine. So, and there's nothing wrong with having more than one installed on your computer. And I've even run them at the same time. And had one site on one and another site on another. As long as you don't have two videos going on them at the same time and drive you nuts because you don't know where it's coming from. But other than that, there's no reason you can't. It's not like an antivirus where you can only have one. You can have as many as you want. I've had 4 or 5 installed because I do websites and I need to see, well, what's it going to look like in this browser and what's it going to look like in this browser.
I have a browser that's related to the internet system I have because I don't have the commercial. Well, I have a separate internet system, my satellite, and they offered a browser about 2 years ago or a year ago, and I waited a long time before I decided to join into it. But I have it on mine now, plus the Edge that every once in a while I'll go back to, because there are some times when the browser, it's called browser, and sometimes it will not let me go into something, or it says that it's not, in essence, it's saying it's not safe to open it. So
yeah, Chrome does that now too. If it doesn't have an S at the end of the HTTP, Chrome will sometimes come up with a warning. And I have to pay for my website. I think I have to pay $100+ a year to get that S put on. So one of the sites I have, the Chromebook for seniors site that I have, I didn't pay for it. So it comes up with a warning. And in fact, even the Hewie.net sometimes does, because I don't think I've got it set right. Because I think GoDaddy called me one time and said, you need to fix something, and I didn't know what to fix. I never fixed it. So I'm paying $100 some odd, and I don't think it's working right anyway.
So you answered my thought about the browsers. It's okay to have both of them on there and to interchangeably use them if I wish to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to further ask, how do you interchange them?
You just open one and open the other one.
Okay,
Uh,
let's say you're on, show us, because I don't
Sure.
quite understand. Just open one, open the other. Let's say you're on a web page.
Okay, well, I'm here. So I open up Chrome. And I'll make it a little bit smaller here and just move over here. So I'm on Chrome. I'll open up Firefox. I don't know where to go now.
You close it.
Yep. What I was trying to do is resize it. So I'll move it here. And I don't have it going to a page, but let's have it go to hewie.net. Come on.
And then you can just
Okay,
move
so
the two
it's
keys side
there,
by
and I
side.
just move them, and they're there. And if I want to, I can also, I'll open up Edge as well. That's full screen, so I'll tell it not to be full screen, and make it smaller, and move it down. And there, I got 3 browsers open.
Wow.
There's there's nothing stopping you from doing that, and it doesn't hurt anything. What you're using is your bandwidth. Obviously, you're going to 3 different locations, but it's like going to 3 pages on one of the browsers. It doesn't really make a lot of difference unless you're really strapped for on your computer. You have a very low end computer, but I've done it on my Chromebook. Although I only use Chrome on there, but I do have I think a second browser on that, and I've opened up the second browser at the same time. So, does that answer you?
It sure does. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and there's some that are some browsers that are a little more secure, but they might not let you do certain things, or they may have a certain. So, and like I say, sometimes I'll go to a place, and I need to fill out a form. I say forum sometimes instead of form. But I go to fill out a form, and it's taking the information, but somehow it's not working right. I'll just open up Firefox and do it, copy and paste the same address to it, and go to the same place, and then fill out the form there, and it works.
Is this a split screen kind of thing, or?
What I was just doing?
Yes.
No, it's called Windows because you can have different windows.
Okay.
And let me just go back and do that because I haven't closed anything. I just turned off, so I'll share my screen again. Now if I hit the little square up here, that makes it full screen, so then you can't see anything behind it.
Right.
But they're there. And then you can resize any window by grabbing a corner at the top. You see the little arrow there? So you can have several windows open on your screen, one on top of the other. Whatever one is the active one is going to be on top of the others. Now let me show you one other trick that you may not know about. If this is full screen, you can't see the others. If you hold down the Alt button on your keyboard and hit the Tab, you'll get this. And then each time you hit the Tab button, it will move it so you can then go to that particular place. So if I go to that and I bring it up, it will bring that forward. I'll hold the Alt key down again, hit Tab. It gives me all of my open windows, and I can go to any one of them, and it will then bring that forward.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's Alt Tab.
Alt Tab. Wow.
You hold the Alt key down, hit the Tab, and that'll bring up the window with all of them. Then keeping the Alt button down, keep hitting your Tab button, it'll move from one to the other.
Thank you. I did not know that.
Me neither.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why we're here, to learn little tips and tricks, and that's
a tip and a trick.
Yep.
I have one other question.
Sure.
The old XP was so easy to make a document. Now with this, after I do something in Open Office, whatever, and then I go to name it and put it into a document, my document folder, file. I have trouble finding it after.
Let me show you a little program that I learned at STUG. What, believe it or not, is a STUG meeting. And I think it was the one Mike Hutchison did before the main meeting, but it's a program called Search Everything or Everything, and I'll find where you can download it. But you'll notice that when I opened it, it's showing 103,000 objects on my computer. So if I
We don't
type,
see your screen.
oh, you know what? It helps to share, doesn't it? Sorry about that. Okay, let me go back. I closed it. Now I'll open it again. Okay, we'll share. All right. We have these open right now, but I can still leave them open. Doesn't matter. I don't know if you can see my toolbar at the bottom, but it says search everything. When I click it, it opens up the search everything. Let me minimize everything else here just so you're not so confused. Whoops, and we'll do that, and then we'll go back to the search everything. So, and I'll full screen it just so there's not a lot of other things in the background. What I like about this is I can type in STUG, and it shows me everything that's got the word STUG in it. That quick. And there's 103,000 files. And what I do is if it's something that I just did today, if I click date modified, you can just by clicking, you can do this in Excel and anything that you got lists in Windows for the most part. If there's a title bar at the top, you can alphabetize it by name, or I can do it by path, and it puts it all together, or size, or date modified. It puts everything there by date, so I can see what the latest thing was. And so if I go to, let's see, find something here, the newsletters. If I double click that, I open it, it takes me to the folder where I have all of my STUG newsletters. It's out on OneDrive, but I have older ones. And again, I can take this and I can do them alphabetically. And if you do it a second time, it reverses the alphabetized. If I want to do it by date modified, I do there. And now you see it that way. And if I go the other way, it's from the oldest to the newest. And if I want all the PDF files together and all of the Word files, I click on type and it will do that. And that will do it at any of the things within your file manager in Windows. But I'm getting off topic here. I'm using this program called Everything and About Everything. And this is the website. And again, let's see if I can, well, I guess I have to go to it. I'll highlight it. Whoops. Control Z gets me back to where I was, and I want to do a Control C. And then I will go to the chat box. It's open, so chat box. Where's my chat box? It's over on my other screen here, I think. Chat. There we go. And I will put in here the link, and it's voidtools.com. And it's in the chat box now. So that's where I downloaded this program. And, you know, I was supposed to have a meeting at 12, and it's after 12. No, that's from Iowa. Oh, nuts. It's something I need to get. So I'm going to stop the share, and I am going to mute myself for a moment.
Leah, you're on.
I am for what?
Yeah. You're going to tell us now how to get to everything.
I have no idea. Sorry about that. Don't think I'd be too helpful to you because I was going to ask the same question.
Well,
It looks like he was finding it.
He was finding it https:/www, and then I don't know if it was .or/voidtools.com. Did anybody else
I
get
wasn't
that?
sure whether it was void tools or everything, okay.
Yeah, because everything has got to be in there. I'm not sure. So that's a good question to ask him when he comes back.
Look at the
Okay.
chat window. There's a link that Yui posted on the chat link.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, but that was to something else.
I just put in the chat,
My chat-
that void tools is where you find everything. That's the program, and you can download it from there and install it.
There it is.
Oh, no.
I don't
But you
see
said
it
you
in
put it in
box.
chat. Oh, there it is.
I see the Microsoft, the answer is Microsoft.com. That's not it.
No, it's the one, it's called voidtools.com, voidtools.com.
Not in here, though.
It's
Yeah.
online. Oh,
It's
you know
not.
what? I think it went privately to Mallory. Hang on a second. It wasn't in public. I'll do it again to everyone. That was my fault. Okay. There you go.
Okay. There you go.
Voidtools.com.
And it boots. I have it boots automatically. When you boot your computer, it automatically runs in the background. It doesn't take a lot of memory, but it is doing the search and makes the list very quickly. And I don't know how they do it, because Microsoft certainly doesn't do it like that. But I can find anything, anytime, very easily. It's just one of those things that I learned at a STUG meeting that I live with it now, and it's a very important program for me to have. And the thing I like about it is exactly what you were saying. You've saved something and you can't find it. Well, you open it up, you open up everything and just tell it to search by date, and it'll be on either at the top of the list or pretty close to it, because it shows a lot of hidden stuff too that programs utilize. So there might be some other things, but if you go down and look at everything from today's date, and you'll eventually come across where that file is. And figure out where it is, and then put it where you want it to be, or you can just, at least you'll know where it is.
Will it find deleted files as well?
Will it find what? Will it find what, Ann?
Will it find deleted files as well?
No. That you can look for in your trash, and if it's not there, it's probably gone. But deleted is a whole different subject and a whole different way of things being handled.
When you get the void tools and the everything, you had an icon down on the bottom. Does that supply, as soon as you download it, does that supply it, or do you have to get it separately?
It supplies it, but do you know how to put it in do you know how to put a file in your toolbar at the bottom so it's always there?
Yes, I do that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you
I
install it, okay, well, let me show you. We'll come here and I'll turn this off. Close this. Okay. Make some room here. Well, let's say, let's see, I'm making sure it's not down here already. This program right here, if I right mouse click on it, it says pin to taskbar. Once I do that, it's down on my taskbar, and it will stay there because I pinned it. But let's say I want it over here, I can just do that, and so I can put it where you can move it around in there.
You can delete it from there too?
And then what you do is you right mouse click and you say unpin from taskbar.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you can't move it, or it won't go in there, right mouse click somewhere on your taskbar. Well, mine says lock all taskbars, so it still allows you to do it. What I can't do is this. By mistake, sometimes people will have their taskbar over on the side. Well, if it's not locked, sometimes you'll move it, whoops, and it'll go over there. And that's not where I want it. I want it down here at the bottom. And sometimes people will find it on the side and they don't know how to get it back there. Well, just drag it back. But once you get it to where you want it, just lock it. And then you can't do that by mistake. And again, right mouse click and make sure it says lock all taskbars. Again, these are some Windows basics that If somebody hadn't shown you, you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes,
Howie,
because
this
they
is
don't
Sally.
tell you.
When you sent the Zoom chat messages to the chat box, I didn't get both of them. I only got the second one. And it says up top, it says from Mallory to everyone, but I only got the one about void tools.
Okay, let's see, no one answered. Let's see, from Mallory, sorry, had the 12:30 appointment. So she didn't, so that went to everyone. So if you'll notice here, I don't know if you can see my chat box or not. Can you? I don't think
can't see
Zoom
your-
doesn't let us do that. All right. Well, number one, I'm not sharing my
If I go-
desktop.
If I go down to the three little dots and I say save chat, it'll pop up a thing that says chat save show in folder. So I go to show in folder, and the only one that it saved was the one on void tools, not the first one.
It may not overwrite the one that's there. I think it will, but I don't know.
Can you
And-
send the first one again to us?
Which first one are you talking about?
HTTPS answers Microsoft, the real long one.
Okay. If you look at your chat box and use the slide bar, you can move up and you should be able to find it in the chat box. It may not be in the save chat.
Dave, I had the same problem. I just saved the second one, and the second one, I went to the folder, and the second one was in there, and the first one had disappeared.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me.
Okay, then I'm not sure why, but
I think it only saves the last one.
Yeah, they're both on screen under Zoom chat, group chat, but they only bring in the last one.
in the save chat, then just highlight it and do a copy or Control C,
Yeah.
and then paste it into something, a
I
document.
And just put it under favorites, but whatever. Okay, I just didn't know if anybody else had. Looks like it's happening to both of us.
Yep. I'll have to double check and see
Okay,
what it's doing.
all right, thank you.
This is Joanne.
Sure, Joanne.
I just highlighted everything in the chat section, and I do think it let me copy it all when I did that.
Yeah, it will. Then you have to paste it somewhere.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
All that does is it puts it in the in your clipboard, and it just sits there until you copy something else, and then it'll disappear. So you have to paste it somewhere before you do another copy. Okay, it's a little after 12, so I am, unless there's something else pressing, and I think you learned a few things today.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm sorry Dave had his issues. I'm glad to fill in for him. And I'm sure the next time he has a meeting, he will have resolved his issues. And I do a Windows Special Interest Group the second Sunday of every month at about 1 o'clock. And if you send me an email at hewie@hewie.net, I will send you where you can sign up for my newsletter, and the link is always in that newsletter. And the newsletter is usually only once a month, and I talk about last month, what I did for last month, what I'm going to do for this month, and maybe one article, and that's it. So it's not a lot of junk mail from me, and no ads, unless it's an ad for something I'm doing.
Hewie.net.
Hewie, Hewie at hewie.net. Yep.
Thank you. Will do.
All right. With that,
Thank you, Hewie.
yep. Thanks everybody for coming, and
Thank you.
we'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Huey.
much.
Thank you, Huey.
Thank you. Have a good day.